This is ABS and you're watching the evening news. I am Ifunanya Amafili. Thanks for being with us. Our headlines trending for this evening: Governor Obiano inspects asphalting of Isuofia, Ekulobia, Umunze Road Spur. INEC begins distribution of electoral materials ahead of Saturday's rescheduled polls. Shiite Muslims protest at Foreign Affairs Ministry. And on the foreign scene, Trump's administration begins move to bypass Congress to advance sales of U.S. nuclear power to Saudi Arabia. And now we'll start with the news and details. Anambra State government has commenced the asphalting of Isuofia, Ekulobia, General Hospital Road. Governor Willie Obiano, while inspecting the road, promised to add street infrastructures to the road. And our Government House correspondent, Ejike Abana, reports that the 2.34-kilometer road, a spur to Isuofia, Ekulobia, Umunze Road, was abandoned by the federal government for 12 years.
Governor Obiano, who expressed satisfaction with the quality and pace of work at the site, stressed that the contractor has been mobilized, asking him to generate certificates for additional payment. The governor, who reminded the people of Isuofia that the third phase of the Community Choose Your Project initiative has commenced, stressed that the contractor and workers must be indigenous to benefit directly and indirectly from the project.
I want to let you know that I'm very serious about the works I do around here. I'm not playing politics with any of my roads. I'm here to specifically, on a surprise basis, to see whether my contractor is on site or whether he's been carried away by the election euphoria, you know. But I'm very happy to see that he's working. So, first, your word were first, now the whole of Old Aguata.
Speaking, the Commissioner for Works, Engineer Marcel Ifejiofor, said that the firm has assured of delivering the project before the rainy season, adding that the thickness of the asphalt is above specification, as the ministry is paying special attention to ensure that they do not go back on standard.
His Excellency, we want to thank you. You've seen that road being done by state government. And the assurance we are giving that this contractor has been mobilized fully. Oh, good. This road will be completed. This road will not stop. I want to assure you it's a short distance. Before the rain comes, we are going to complete this road. And if you look at this road, we've seen what it's doing. The thickness of the asphalt we are seeing is more than the specification. The contractor is doing a very, very good work, and Anambra State government, through the Ministry of Work, we are paying special attention to this road because of His Excellency.
Earlier, the Chief Executive Officer of the firm handling the project, Chief Adolf Izuebu, assured that with adequate mobilization, the project will be completed in 90 days' time.
12 months, 12 months project. But because of the leadership style of Aboko Global, and we want to lead the indigenous construction company in this state. For this reason, we want to complete this project in 90 days. Thank you. And we'll give you the best quality. Instead of reducing from the quality we will add. Thank you very much.
In their different speeches, the Commissioner for Housing, Mr. Emeka Ezenwanne, a one-time central bank governor, Professor Charles Soludo, traditional ruler of Isuofia, Igwe Aloysius Mogalo, Chief Titus Anabogo, and ABGA candidates in the area, among others, turned out to welcome the governor, applauding him for executing the project, which they described as a jinx. From Isuofia in Aguata Council area, Ejike Abana, ABS News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced the redistribution of electoral materials across the state for the rescheduled presidential and National Assembly elections holding on Saturday. The exercise, which was done at the premises of the Central Bank of Nigeria, OCA, was witnessed by political party members, election observers, security officials, INEC staff, among other relevant stakeholders. And our correspondent, Chibuzo Okoye, tells us more.
Briefing the stakeholders on the preparedness of the commission, the state resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Nkwachuwoji, said that the redistribution exercise is to ensure that the Saturday's general elections is successful, as the commission has put all logistics in place to ensure a free, fair, and credible poll. Dr. Oji allayed the fears over the integrity of the materials which has been distributed before and assured the stakeholders that all the materials are still intact without any form of compromise.
We had a fire incident in our office which affected our storage facility housing the smart card readers for the state. Today we intend to bring out the materials the way we have batched them. We have batched them local government by local government. So the result sheets are batched local government by local government, and the ballot papers are also batched local government by local government. So
the state resident electoral commissioner explained that the fire that gutted their office recently damaged their smart card readers, but revealed that the commission has gotten 5,173 smart card readers, though they expected to get about 6,000 smart card readers.
The implication is that our target of having smart card readers for 5,720 RAs, polling units and voting centers in Anambra State, plus at least 2 for each ward, we may not be able to achieve that target, because the total number of smart card readers that we have is 5,173. That's what we have as at present, and that is very insufficient to meet that target, because we were targeting to get up to 6,000 plus.
The state chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Ndubisi Mobu, and the state secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Chukwuma Agufugo, all expressed readiness of their parties to the election, but expressed worry over the integrity of the materials.
Really worried about the integrity of the materials that had gone to the field. We are greatly worried because, this is gone into the hands of a multiplicity of persons.
Didn't get to have the details of what was distributed earlier as against what was brought in, and we're expecting to have all that here so that we'll do a comparative analysis of what we are going to receive today and taken to the racks.
Just beside me here are the materials ready for distribution across the 21 local government areas of Anambra State. INEC has assured Nigerians that they will give them free, fair and credible elections. All we hope is that INEC walk the talk come Saturday, 23rd February 2019. From Central Bank of Nigeria, Oka, it's been Chibuzo Okoye for ABS News.
The state chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Sir Norbert Obi, has called on the residents of the state and party faithfuls not to be deterred by the postponement of the dates of the general elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had on Saturday morning, few hours to the opening of the polls, announced the total postponement of the elections. David Opokwasili has details.
Speaking to the ABS in Oka, Sir Norbert regretted the sudden postponement of the elections and said that it will somewhat affect the credibility of the rescheduled Saturday polls and consequently that of March 9 polls. He therefore urged INEC to ensure that the rescheduled polls meet international standards by ensuring free, fair and credible elections. Sir Norbert also implored the Anambra and his party candidates not to be dampened by the postponement, but to come out en masse on Saturday and vote the candidates of their choice.
I urge the Anambra and all of our candidates, both presidential, senatorial, House of Rep and State Assembly candidates, and gubernatorial candidates in some states like Imo and the Anambra, to have faith in God, hoping that on the 23rd we will see come out and vote.
His APC counterpart, Chief Basil Ejidike, on his part, condemned the act, especially as it came on the election day, but urged Nigerians to give INEC benefit of the doubt, as February 23 will soon be here. Chief Ejidike urged all political parties to ensure massive sensitization of the electorate on the need for them to come out en masse on election day to exercise their civic responsibilities. He said that it is better shifted to get it right than having the election amidst challenges, urging everyone to remain calm and calculated so that INEC can concentrate on organizing a free, fair and credible elections.
Appeal to our people is that they should not in any way be demoralized by what has happened. They should see that as even a source of inspiration, something that will even inspire them more to be part of the process. Because it's only when you are part of the process that you can be able to produce, the end results. And nobody should abandon midway. We expect, well, of course, they said 23rd. 23rd is just a question of days. So I expect that people should still be motivated to turn out en masse and vote.
In Oka, this is David Opawase reporting for ABS News.
The Anambra State Boundaries Committee has been called upon to, as a matter of urgency, look into the boundary issues between Ifite Nteje and Odumodu Umunya, both in Oyi Council area, with a view to stemming tensions brewing up in the area. The appeal was made by both communities following clearing of some portions of land near the Odumodu bus stand, axis of the Enugu-Onitsha Express Road. And our correspondent, Ngozi Obileri, has an update.
Women and youths of Odumodu village Umunya staged a peaceful protest on the said portion of land, shouting at the top of their voices, lamenting their losses over the cleared portion of land, which they said is their only source of livelihood. Some of them, including Messrs. Uju Uranze and Paul Nwabuebo, explained that they woke up sometime 2 weeks ago and discovered that their cassava farms have been cleared without any warning. They argued that such practice is an abomination in Igbo land, as uprooting crops when they are not due for harvest is referred to as Ifejioko and frowned at it.
It is quite unfortunate that this kind of thing happen in our present. The people, they just enter into our land unawares. Nobody knows. And what made them to enter here, we don't know.
We cultivate cassava a lot. So like 3 days or 4 days ago, our men came here and they beat them up heavily with knives. They had to run and go to the hospital.
Reacting to the development, the traditional ruler of Umunya, Igwe Chris Onyekuluje, expressed shock as he claimed an appeal court ruling has restrained people from entering the land until the court takes its final stand on the issue. Igwe Onyekuluje said that he received a distress call when the clearing started and warned his subjects not to engage in any unlawful act, as he said that people of the community are law-abiding and peaceful. He said that he has written to the State Boundaries Commission to determine the boundary, as he maintained that Nengo River is the boundary between the two communities. He argued that rivers are natural boundaries established over decades ago.
There's no point going to fight. The damage is done. You can see the widows. They're all crying, lamenting. You see the size of the land that was damaged by the so-called dozer. Mine is it don't go with violence to sort any issue. It's already established that Nengo is the boundary between Nteje and Umunya.
In a swift reaction, the traditional ruler of Nteje, Igwe Roland Odebo, claimed that the people of Odumodu Umunya are tenants of Nteje community, who were given that portion of land by their forefathers only to live in and not to be the owners. He said that the people of Ifite Nteje are now in need of the land, hence they are laying claims to what belongs to them. Igwe Odebo recalled that the Supreme Court had in the past given judgment in favor of Ndi Ifite Nteje, wondering why Odumodu Umunya people are still laying claims to the land. The Nteje monarch said moving forward, he will discuss with his Umunya counterparts to know how to bring lasting solution to the issue before it escalates to something ugly. He said part of his peace ideas is bringing the State Boundaries Commission into the matter.
The first fact is that Odumodu in Umunya is a customary tenant of Ndi Nteje. The land in which they habitate today belongs to Ifitenteje. The land that was cleared belongs clearly to Ifitenteje. Up to Supreme Court, the judgment had been given, and they went to clear their land. They did not damage anybody's property.
I am Ngozi Obileri for ABS News.
A tanker fire at Ihiala has claimed some lives, buildings, and some vehicles. We have details.
Confirming the incident, the director of the State Fire Service, Mr. Martin Abali, said personnel of the agency from Nnewi and Onitsha stations swung into action immediately they received the distress call, but discovered that the inferno had spread when they got to the scene. Mr. Abali confirmed that a pregnant woman and her 2 children were killed in the fire, while some vehicles were also burnt. According to an eyewitness, Mr. Emeka Ofebu, the truck laden with cooking gas was on transit from Warri to Owerri when it rammed into a barricade at an army checkpoint at Ihiala end of the Onitsha-Owerri road and burst into flames, burning a Celestial church and other vehicles. When he visited the accident scene to ascertain the cause and level of damage, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Petroleum, PTD and Union Matters, Comrade Peter Nwosu, while commiserating with victims, commended the men of the State Fire Service for their prompt intervention in putting off the fire.
Still to come, Shiite Muslims protest at Foreign Affairs Ministry. Trump's administration begins move to bypass Congress to advance sales of U.S. nuclear power to Saudi Arabia. Do stay with us. We'll have more details after the break.
But we don't want nobody to come scatter ground for gear. Vote not fight, that's what we want in this year. In this election time, we want a peaceful atmosphere. Because when 12 and fight to the grass, there's a fight. Vote not fight, election no be war.
Anambra, the general elections are here again. Be patriotic and do what is right. Do not sell your vote. Do not buy anybody's vote. Buying and selling of votes are criminal offenses. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Don't be caught napping. If you are caught, you shall be prosecuted. Vote according to your conscience. Vote for the candidates of your choice. Remember, election thuggery is an offense punishable by the law. Say no to electoral violence. Don't forget, your vote counts and your voter's card is your passport to make the needed change. This message is powered by Anambra Broadcasting.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria earlier today protested in front of the Foreign Affairs Ministry to whip up international attention to their demands for the release of their leader, Sheikh Ibrahim el-Zakzaki. The members are taking advantage of the presence of international election observers to protest against his continued detention. Malam el-Zakzaki has remained in detention since he was arrested in December 2015, following a clampdown on his members by soldiers. Over 300 Shiites were killed during the controversial onslaughts by soldiers who accused the Shiite members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria of blocking a road being used by the army chief, Tukur Buratai. A soldier was also killed in the violence. After his detention, the federal government failed to file formal charges against Malam el-Zakzaki, but rather appealed a December 2016 order for his release. Following the refusal of the government to release Malam el-Zakzaki, Shiite members have held several protests to call for attentions, including the last one that led to the clampdown of their members by the army. The Nigerian Customs Service has said that 4 members of the patrol team involved in the killing of their civilian quote-unquote friend, Godwin Onoja, has been detained. It also stated that a panel set up to investigate the killing could not conclude its investigation because the officer who accidentally shot Onoja, Destiny Onebamho, was receiving medical attention after he was attacked by motorists following the killing. Onoja was shot by a member of the 5-man custom patrol team while they were trying to allegedly extort 5,000 naira bribe from a group of travelers coming from Europe at the Shagamu end of the Lagos-Ore-Benin Expressway. It was gathered that the victim was shot during an altercation between the officers of the Federal Operations Unit of the Nigerian Customs Service, Ikeja, Lagos, and the travelers who boarded an ERA Motors passenger bus traveling to Benin City from Lagos. A statement from the Nigerian Customs Service Public Relations Officer, Joseph Atta, said Onem Hambo will be questioned by the panel once fit to enable it conclude its investigation and recommend appropriate actions to be taken against the operatives. According to the statement, the Comptroller General of Customs, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, has directed a thorough investigation into the immediate and remote causes of the incident with a view to ensuring that justice is served. The Nigerian economy is growing slower than the growth rate of its population. The research by the International Bank, FSDH, has revealed. According to the research by the FSDH Merchant Bank on final judgment on performance of the Nigerian economy implications, it said this was an indication of growing poverty. The FSDH research noted that ahead of the presidential elections, the MBS released its final judgment on the performance of the Nigerian economy in 2018. It said the report containing the judgment showed that the Nigerian economy had continued to recover. The economy expanded by 1.93% in full year 2018, higher than 0.82% recorded in 2017. Now moving over to the foreign scene, the administration of President Donald Trump is bypassing the United States Congress to advance the sale of U.S. nuclear power plants to Saudi Arabia, despite its concerns it will violate U.S. laws guarding against technology transfers, according to a news report by a congressional committee. Security analysts worry the technology would allow Saudi Arabia to produce nuclear weapons in the future, potentially contributing to an arms race in the Middle East. U.S. legislators are concerned about the stability of Saudi's leadership under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman because of the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi and the war in Yemen. Multiple unnamed whistleblowers have come forward to warn about White House attempts to speed the transfer of highly sensitive U.S. nuclear technology to build new nuclear power plants in Saudi Arabia, according to the staff report by the House Oversight and Reform Committee. The committee is investigating efforts by U.S. nuclear power companies to win Trump's administration approval to build nuclear power plants in Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries. From our sports desk, the Nigerian Football Federation has announced the death of Chukwuma Agbo, who until his death was the assistant coach of the Beach Soccer Eagles. On their verified Twitter handle, NFF described the death of Agbo as another painful loss to the football world in Nigeria. NFF tweeted, unquote, "Yet another painful loss. We are sad to hear of the passing of assistant coach of our beach soccer national team, the Super Sand Eagles, Chukwuma Agbo. Our prayers are with his family at this time. May his soul rest in peace." End of quote. Now, don't forget that you can follow our news and programs on ABS from any part of the world simply by logging on to our website, which is www.absradiotv.com, or like us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television, and follow us on our Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube handle at ABS Radio TV. Before we end the news this evening, we'll go through our headlines for today. Governor Obiano has inspected asphalting of Isuofia, Ekulobia, Umunze Road Spur. INEC has begun distribution of electoral materials ahead of Saturday's rescheduled polls. Shiite Muslims have protested at Foreign Affairs Ministry. And on the foreign scene, Trump's administration has begun moves to bypass Congress to advance sales of U.S. nuclear power to Saudi Arabia. And with that, we'll wrap up the news this evening. Many thanks for being with us. I am Ifunanya Amafili. Do have a pleasant night.